You notice it, don't you? This change that is happening is not trivial. It's in the lingering glances, in the way she pays attention to what you say, in the details that were previously unnoticed but now seem to scream something that can no longer be ignored. It's not just any moment, it's something that is asking to be recognized, to be felt. Maybe you're trying to understand why this is happening now after so long. Maybe you're reliving moments when everything seemed casual, unpretentious. But now, it isn't anymore. This person is seeing you, truly seeing you, with a clarity that she probably doesn't even know how to handle. There's something in the gestures, in the tone of the words, in the silences that were once just empty, but are now full of meaning. And what does this do to you? Because you feel it too. You feel that something has changed, even if you can't put it into words. It's as if the atmosphere around you has transformed, gained weight, in tension. It's not uncomfortable, but it's also not light. It's dense, heavy, with possibilities that depend only on a movement, on a choice. Have you ever wondered what this could be? Love, desire, admiration? Or is it something deeper, something that transcends simple definitions? Maybe it's the meeting of two souls that finally allow themselves to see what has always been there, but was never admitted. And this is frightening because when we see, we also assume the responsibility for what we see. It's no longer possible to pretend that it's just friendship, just coexistence, something that can be set aside. She notices you. And you? Will you notice too? If you stop to think, this is not about guarantees. It's not about knowing where this might lead or what it might mean in the future. It's about the now. About what is pulsating between you two at this moment. Because the truth is that opportunities like this do not appear every day. And when they do, they carry the urgency of something that cannot wait. Something that, if not experienced, can turn into regret. And maybe you are afraid, which is natural. Afraid to open up, to get hurt, to expose yourself. But let me ask you, what is worse? The fear of trying or the regret of never having tried? Because deep down you know there is no escaping this. What is happening between you two is already taking up space inside of you. It is already changing the way you see this person, the way you see yourself. Now it's up to you. The choice is before you. Let it pass or allow it to grow. There is no right or wrong, but there are consequences. If you choose to act, you will open yourself up to something that can transform your life in ways you can't even imagine. If you choose to do nothing, you will carry the doubt, the what if, that never fully disappears. So tell me, do you want me to finalize this? Do you want this story to be about courage or about what could have been? Because deep down you already know the answer. It's there in what you feel, in what is happening now, and whatever your choice, I will be here to help you write it. You are seeing this happen, aren't you? Every gesture, every word, every silence is loaded with something that was not there before. It's as if suddenly there is another layer of meaning that was previously invisible. It is no longer possible to ignore what is unfolding between the two of you. And as much as you try to convince yourself otherwise, everything in you knows that something important is happening. This connection is not a coincidence. It is not something that repeats easily or that you can find anywhere. It is something rare, something that is asking to be recognized, lived, before it is lost. And as difficult as it is to admit, you feel fear. Fear of what this might mean, fear of what is at stake. Because if you accept this, there is no going back. She is waiting for you, even though she doesn't say it in words. It is in the subtle gestures, in the way she looks at you when she thinks you don't notice. It is in the care with which she chooses her words, in the genuine interest she shows in things that used to go unnoticed. She doesn't want to scare you. She doesn't want to seem like she is demanding anything. But at the same time, every move she makes is an invitation. And invitations like this don't last forever. Can you feel it? The tension in the air, the weight of choices that haven't been made yet. Because there is no neutrality in this moment. Standing still, hesitating, is already a choice. And choices like that have consequences. Doing nothing risks losing something you may never find again. So what is stopping you? Is it the fear of not being enough? The doubt if what you feel is reciprocal? Or maybe the idea that if you give yourself up, you might get hurt? These doubts are legitimate, but they can't be what paralyzes you. Because deep down, you already know the answer to them. She is not waiting for perfection. She is not waiting for guarantees. What she is waiting for is something real, something you already feel but perhaps haven't had the courage to admit. The issue here is not whether you are ready, because no one is ever completely ready for something so intense, so transformative. The issue is whether you are willing to face what you feel, to take the risk, to allow this connection to be what it has to be. Because if you don't do this, do you know what will happen? It will pass. Not for lack of feeling, but because nothing survives without action, without effort, without reciprocity. And she, on the other side, is trying to deal with her own fears, with her own doubts. She doesn't have all the answers either. But what she has, and what you need to notice, is courage. Courage to open up, even if subtly. Courage to show herself vulnerable, to let you see what she feels. And this is something that can't be ignored. But what about you? Are you ready to take the next step? It doesn't have to be something grandiose. It doesn't need a big speech or spectacular gestures. What she needs, what both of you need, is authenticity. Something that is genuine, that shows that you also feel, that you are also willing to explore what this might be. Maybe it's a conversation, a message, a moment when you look into her eyes and let her see what is in your heart. It doesn't need perfect words. It doesn't need a detailed plan. It needs truth. Because truth is what connects people, what makes something real. And do you know why? Because time doesn't stop. What is happening between you now is a unique moment, something that is begging to be lived. If you wait too long, if you hesitate for too long, the moment passes. And when it passes, it will take with it all the possibilities that were within your reach. And in the end, what remains is regret. The what if that never goes away. Do you want to live with that? Because if you don't act now, this is what will accompany you. No matter how much you try to justify it, no matter how much you try to convince yourself that it wasn't the right time, that the circumstances weren't favorable, deep down, you know that's an excuse. That fear is the only real obstacle. And if for a moment you manage to look beyond the fear, what do you see? You see the possibility of something rare, something that can change your life. You see a connection that few people find, and even fewer have the courage to live fully. You see the chance to be honest with yourself and with her, to let something true happen without reservations, without masks, without excuses. So why hesitate? You know what's at stake. You know what you might lose. And you know that if you choose to act, no matter the outcome, it will be better than standing still. Because by acting, you are telling yourself that you deserve this, that you deserve to live something intense, something real. And that, in itself, is transformative. But this only happens if you make it happen, if you take the next step, if you show that you are present, that you are willing. Don't let fear or doubts be bigger than what you feel. Because in the end, what matters is what you do with it. Now I ask you again, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep waiting, letting time corrode what is still possible? Or are you going to take action, give a sign, show that you are there, that you also feel? Because deep down, you already know the answer. You already know what you need to do. The question is whether you will have the courage to do it. The choice is yours, but know that she is also choosing, and her choice will depend on yours. Because no matter how strong the connection between you is, she can't carry this alone. No one can. She needs to know that you are with her, that you are willing to discover what this can mean. And if you do nothing, what happens? She moves forward. Not because she wants to, but because she needs to. Because no one can wait forever. And when that happens, it will be too late. You'll look back and wonder how you let it slip away. And the answer will be simple, out of fear. But is it worth letting fear win? Is it worth giving up something so rare, so real, because of insecurity? Think about it. Because time is passing and the choice you make now will define what happens from here on out. Life doesn't wait, neither does she. And deep down, neither do you. So, what do you choose? You know you've reached the limit of what you can ignore. That feeling is in every detail, in every lingering glance. You feel the weight of what's not being said, but is screaming inside both of you. There's no denying it, not anymore. And now the question is simple. What are you going to do about it? She's there, waiting for something she might not even know how to name. It's not just a gesture, it's not just a word. It's the certainty that you also perceive it, that you're not alone in this confusion of feelings. Because for her, admitting what she feels is already a leap into the dark, a risk, a dive without guarantees. And even so, you can see in the small gestures that she is willing, maybe more than you thought. And that gets to you, doesn't it? It's not just about her, it's about you too. About what you're willing to give up, to face, to feel. Because to love, or at least admit the possibility of loving, is this: an exchange of control for vulnerability. And that exchange is scary. But at the same time, it calls to you. Because as difficult as it is, you know that running away now is not an option. Look around, look at her, look at yourself. How many times have you wondered if you were in the right place, with the right person? How many times did you feel that something was missing, that what you were living was less than it should be? Now suddenly, all that changes. You feel that there is something bigger happening, something that pushes you out of your comfort zone to a place where things can no longer be superficial. She notices you in a way that no one else has. And it's not about what you do or how you present yourself, it's about who you are. She saw beyond the masks, beyond the barriers you erected to protect yourself. And that disarms you. Because realizing that someone truly sees you, with all your flaws and still chooses to stay, is both terrifying and freeing. And the most interesting part? You realize you're doing the same for her. Gradually, without even noticing, you are also seeing beyond what she shows. You are seeing the fears, the insecurities, the dreams she keeps to herself. You are seeing what truly makes her laugh, what keeps her up at night. And that changes everything, because now it's no longer about the idea of someone. It's about her, real, imperfect, incredible. But now what? What do you do with this? Because feelings like this are rare, but they are also fragile. They need care, courage, choices. If you do nothing, they wear out, disappear. But if you decide to act, you need to be willing to deal with whatever comes. You need to be ready to let go of certainties, to embrace the unknown. And she is there, waiting for this. Maybe not consciously. Maybe she isn't even sure what she wants or expects. But she is, because no one shows interest without expecting reciprocity. No one allows themselves to feel something like this without wishing it to be returned. And you know that. You know that if you remain still, you'll end up losing something that has already become important to both of you. It's not about promising the future. It's about living the now. And this is what you need to understand. It's not about making grand declarations or impossible plans. It's not about guaranteeing that everything will work out, because no one can do that. What matters is showing that you are present, that you are willing to try to live through what is happening between you, that you are willing to nurture this connection that emerged so unexpectedly, but already means so much. And the most curious thing is that when you do this, when you take that first step, everything changes. Hesitation gives way to clarity. Fear loses its power. And suddenly what seemed impossible becomes what makes the most sense. Because the truth is this: when you find someone who truly sees you, who accepts you, who chooses to be with you even knowing all your flaws, the world changes. You change. But here's a detail. Time is passing. This connection you have won't wait forever. It needs action, care, and decision. Because no matter how strong it feels, it also needs to know that you're in it with her, that you're not alone, that this isn't one-sided. And if you don't give that signal, if you keep hesitating, she might give up. Not because she wants to, but because no one can fight for something like this alone for too long. And if that happens, it will be too late. You will carry the doubt, the feeling that you lost something that could have been incredible. And that's the kind of regret that never completely disappears. It's the kind of thing that lingers, that haunts you, that makes you wonder how everything could have been different. So tell me, what are you going to do now? You've come this far. You've already acknowledged what you feel. You've realized what's happening. Now all that's left is to act. All that's left is to take a step toward what could be one of the greatest experiences of your life. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Because life, as you know, does not wait for anyone. And the most important things rarely come to us twice. You feel it, don't you? The urgency, the importance of this moment. You know you can't keep ignoring it. So, get up. Do something. Show her that you also see. that you also feel, that you are willing to discover what this could mean, because in the end, that's what matters, what you choose to do with what you feel now. So, the choice is yours. Will you keep ignoring what you feel, or will you take the first step towards something that could change everything? Because what is in front of you now is rare, and time doesn't wait. Act. Don't let this slip away. And before you go, I want to know from you, have you ever experienced something like this? Share your story in the comments. Your story matters. If this message made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, leave a like and share it. Let's explore together these connections that transform our lives.